Hey, Nikki Brown here. No matter where you are and no matter what part of the world you're in, I hope that you're having a good day. So, earlier today, someone said to me, "Oh, you should be sharing this information." And she was basically referring to all the health knowledge that I have and that I shared with her. And I have shared those things. I have well over 1,000 videos on YouTube. And I've shared a lot of what I know. And I enjoy sharing. And I know that a lot of people have gotten the vaccination. And one of the things that it does is put a lot of heavy metals in the body. So you want to begin to detox some of those things. You want a good source of zinc, a high potency zinc. I would go someplace like Vitamin Shop, GNC, or Nature's Sunshine, which is an online retailer. I think they even have their products on Amazon now. You also want a good source of vitamin C. And you want to use fresh herbs like cilantro. Cilantro is great for removing heavy metals. And then you also want to get a binder like perhaps charcoal or bentonite clay. I would also recommend first thing in the morning before your feet touch the floor, add a teaspoon of baking soda to warm water and drink that down again on an empty stomach. If you can't stomach it, add some lemon juice. You should probably add some lemon juice anyway. Lemon juice helps to shrink the stomach, and the baking soda is going to help to get rid of some of that fecal matter that has accumulated along the colon, especially if you have never done a detox, a cleanse, or gotten a colonic. You have years of feces backed up unless you use the bathroom at least 3 times a day after each meal. If you're not using the restroom after each and every meal, and this should be within like an hour, like if you eat something, it should come back out. Like that's when you know your system is like really clean. If you're eating something and it takes hours, days, or even weeks for it to come back out, your body is not digesting the food and processing it properly for it to be released from the bowel. I have a supplement that I use that I recommend. It is called Swiss Chris. This video has not sponsored. I've been using Swiss Chris for years. I had a doctor, a naturopathic holistic doctor in Greensboro, North Carolina, and she used to do colonics. And she would, like after the colonic, she would recommend you this product to keep using it to keep getting those bowels clean. I typically take 5. You want to be near a restroom. So if you're afraid to take it maybe at work, then maybe you should wait until the weekend or whatever your days off are. Potentially take it like, maybe before you're going to get off. And you should see return on your investment within 12 hours. Magnesium. And there are different types of magnesium. But, there's, I think the magnesium glycinate is the one that helps you sleep. And then there's another one that helps with constipation and bloating. I don't remember which one it is. You may have to Google it. Zinc, vitamin C, and again, You don't just want to get a junk vitamin, because some of these vitamins just have fillers, like how dog food just has fillers. Some vitamins are just junk. So you want to make sure it's like a high potency vitamin from like a reputable place, unless you're going to get it through your food, which mainly you're going to get your vitamin C from like fruit. So like fresh fruit will have a lot of the vitamins that you need. If you're avoiding sugar, you can find some substitutes with vegetables, but like again, a really good dose of vitamin C will come from your fruit, but you have to like be consistent with it. Like go on a detox or cleanse for at least 30 days and eat nothing but fresh fruit and vegetables, or do a juice fast, or even a water fast if you can. Of course, it is always recommended that you consult with your physician if you have one. I did one for almost 90 days, but my magnesium and potassium levels were low. And so I was having heart palpitations, and I started feeling, forget what else. There was like one or two other things. But it was because, again, my magnesium and potassium levels were low, because I wasn't really taking any supplements. I was doing a liquid fast, so I think I started a couple days with just water, and then I went to like juicing, but I wasn't taking any like herbs. So there are certain herbs that are good for you, but I wasn't even eating foods that are rich in magnesium and potassium. I was avoiding bananas, because eating a banana is like eating a bowl of sugar once it's processed. Like, and I was doing a lot of smoothies. So like once you start to chop it up, I did eat a lot of baby bananas. If you're familiar with baby bananas, sometimes Walmart will have them. If you trust the fruit from Walmart, that's a whole nother topic. Depending on where you live, your Hispanic owned grocery stores should have baby bananas. If you have an Eden Fresh Market, sometimes they have baby bananas. They're about that big, and they actually have a seed in the middle. So that's a good alternative. And again, they're only about this size, maybe like a little bit bigger than about the length of my thumb, but maybe only about maybe that thick. Let's see. Anything that grows from a tree or from the ground, as someone else said earlier, that doesn't have a face. Those are some of the best options to eat. If you're going to eat nuts, be careful with the nuts, because some nuts do have mold. You don't want cheap nuts. You want some that you maybe pay some extra money for. Preferably organic if you can, because then they don't have as many pesticides. Be careful with oats. Oats are used to fatten horses. And I know that we've been told that oats are good for you and blah, blah, blah. But, and so including with oats, it would be like granola bars, because granola bars are made of oats, right? But yeah, oats are used to fatten horses. And so if they're used to fatten horses, that means they can fatten a human. And so if you're eating granola and you're like, oh, my stomach exploded, I don't know why I have this bulge. And again, if you're using the restroom, you may pass it, but still, this is not necessarily the nutritious food that we were told it was or is. I've been saying for a long time, we have to unlearn and relearn everything. And so that is including how we eat. A lot of people still follow the food pyramid where they have to have a meat, a vegetable, a starch, and a dairy product. But a lot of people have come to learn that they're lactose intolerant. So do you really need a dairy product? So just use your own discernment. Consult with your physician if you feel the need to. Again, I started my fast. I did not consult with a physician. I just watched my body and how I felt and how I responded to what I was doing. And I made the necessary adjustments. I did my research to determine, again, what my body was going through, what my body needed, and why I was experiencing these things like the heart palpitations. Again, which meant that my magnesium and potassium levels were low. Again, there was something else. I don't think it was lightheaded. It was something else, though, that made me realize that my magnesium and potassium levels were low. So, yes. So you have your vitamin C, your zinc, a good colon cleanser, water. A lot of people get their water from fresh fruits. Some people don't think it's a good idea. Some people get their water from fresh coconut. If you live near a farmer's market, you can typically get a case of fresh coconut for around $25 or $30. If you live, of course, someplace like Florida or the Caribbean, of course, then you can probably just go pick some off of a tree, or at least buy them conveniently at a store. So depending on what part of the country or world you live in, you may have access to fresh coconut water that you can drink. Coconut water does have electrolytes. It is naturally has electrolytes in it. So you want to get your electrolytes from something like coconut water. Of course, you can do like Gatorades, but I don't recommend Gatorades or Powerades because they do have a lot of sugar. But again, that is up to you. Use your own discernment as far as that is concerned, because again, coconut water naturally is an electrolyte food. I know it's a drink, but coconut. Lemon juice, again, it helps to shrink your stomach. Apple cider vinegar is going to also help to scrape the colon and get some of that fecal matter that's stuck to your colon walls so that you can pass it. Because what happens is if we're not using the restroom after every meal within a certain period of time, and we're just putting more food on top of it and more food on top of it and more food on top of it, and we do this for years, it starts to turn into dis-ease in the body. Also, keep in mind that a lot of foods that people eat, especially meat and sushi, even fish that is cooked, it has worms in it. Just like a dog or a cat, you have to deworm your body, because if you don't, these worms are eating away at your flesh. Now, when you detox, because you have all this food in your body that has not been properly digested and passed, you will lose weight, right? And I would never encourage anyone to fast to lose weight, but that is just one of the side effects, or some call benefits of fasting. If you can, I highly recommend at least 3 days of fasting. This is going to help to reset and reboot the body. Again, giving your body time to digest and process some of the food that has been sitting in the large intestine and the small intestine potentially for years. Unprocessed, undigested. And if you have too many toxins in your body, they're going to go into your bloodstream, right? Just like if you touch something, it immediately goes into your bloodstream because the skin is the largest organ on the body. So whatever you touch or put on or in your skin, it can be immediately absorbed because you have porous skin. Just like the chemicals in some of the products that we use. And don't forget, the scalp is also skin. They say posthumous, which basically means after someone dies, especially black women, they said most black women have a lot of goop on their scalp, and that is from all the products that we use. And if the woman uses relaxer, there is a tendency for the scalp to be black, right? From all the chemical burning of the scalp from relaxers. And again, I'm not telling anybody that they should or should not use relaxers or they should or should not use products, but I highly recommend using products that do not have any chemicals in it. I know that a lot of people are a fan of hair grease, especially Blue Magic, because that's a staple. Your mom used to, wash and braid your hair up, and you had long hair when you were a little girl, and then once you started getting relaxers or doing it yourself or going to the wrong hairstylist or hairdresser, the length of your hair changed. Instead of, and again, this is just a suggestion, you can do whatever you want, but instead of Blue Magic, why not get you some coconut oil? Coconut oil from the grocery store. I have some. Anyway, coconut oil from the grocery store that you actually would eat or cook with. And put some peppermint oil in it, right? And you can grease your scalp with that or oil your scalp with that. It's going to solidify when it's cold and it's going to melt when it's warm. So if it's warm in your house or in your cabinet, it's probably going to melt. If you put it in the refrigerator, it'll be cold. So if you put it in the refrigerator, put some peppermint oil in it, when you're ready to grease your scalp, it'll be solidified. So you'll feel like you're using a hair grease. You could also use shea butter. Now, some people, like my hair is very fine. And when I say fine, like, look at the parting space and then look how thin the actual twist is. Now, I could probably do it over. Because my hair got wet and I sweat a lot in my scalp, but still, again, this is a decent sized part, but my hair is very fine, so my hair doesn't necessarily do well with a lot of butter. Maybe a light amount of butter, but it causes like product buildup, and then you'll need to clarify, and then you know, you don't want to do too much clarifying, so you don't want to use too many heavy products. So coconut oil is a good light oil. See how the density, it's not like thick like somebody else who would have that same size parting, they might have like a fat twist, but mine, you know, is more lightweight, so it's not as thick. So some people have fine, some people have medium, and some people have like a thick hair texture. It would be compared to like cotton thread in comparison to silk thread. Like the silk thread is much more fine. And so people who have fine hair, again, your hair is like silk, it's much more delicate, and it doesn't like to be weighed down and heavy. So you can mix butters and oils together, or you can use coconut oil. Now, jojoba oil is most like the sebum that comes out of our scalp. Jojoba oil is a little bit more costly, especially a good one. And you know you're having a good one because you're going to pay a little bit more money for it. So, jojoba oil is good. Again, that's a light oil. Especially if you have fine hair. If you have medium hair, probably good again to mix your butter and your oil. If you have thick hair, you can probably just go ahead and put some shea butter on your hair. Whether you put an essential oil in it or not is up to you. But you can butter down your hair. And our hair likes to be braided or twisted in order for it to grow. So if you're, you know, wanting your hair to grow, our hair likes two things, right? Water equals moisture. So a lot of people think that they're moisturizing their hair when they put oil. No, moisture is water. So you want to get a good leave-in conditioner where the first ingredient is water, or just get a spray bottle and put some water in it. Again, you can add some essential oils to it, like peppermint oil, lavender, rosemary. Those are all very good for the hair, to strengthen the hair and to stimulate the scalp. Very simple. I'm just giving you some simple recipes. Now the products that I made, they have way more essential oils, and I made sure to do a combination of the oils and the butters, light oils, heavy oils. Because again, each oil has a different medicinal benefit. So I did research to study these different oils and the different benefits. I didn't just throw some products together. I actually did a lot of research. I'm talking reading books and studying, you know, what each product is good for. So again, lavender, rosemary, peppermint, good for stimulating the scalp, strengthening the hair. They're antibacterial, antimicrobial, antifungal. Again, these are things that are good for the scalp. Let's see. And again, our hair likes to be in protective styles, and it likes routine. So if you come up with a good routine where, say, once a week you shampoo, blow dry your hair, oil your scalp, braid it down, twist it up, whether you wear it like that, or you put a wig on, or you put a hat on, or you put a head wrap on, or a baseball cap, whatever, you know, whatever you decide to do. Your hair is going to thrive in that environment. Shampoo, a good deep conditioner, preferably if you sit underneath a hair dryer or with a hooded dryer or even with a plastic cap, and then wrap a towel around just to seal the heat in. But the key is to keep your hair moisturized and not allow it to get dry. Do your best not to comb your hair dry. When you comb your hair dry, you're just pulling strands of hair out. If you have the patience, which when you're ready to do your hair, you should always be in a calm, patient mood, because you don't want to take that on in your hair. Your hair can feel that, right? It's like, oh, when you mistreat your hair, your hair thinks you don't like it, and then it doesn't grow. It doesn't do what you want it to do because you're not taking care of it properly. So take care of it properly, oiling it at least, 2 to 3 times a week, if not every day or every other day. Again, our hair thrives once you shampoo and condition it. It is already moist. So then you put your butter or your oil. A good leave-in conditioner is good. So there's a such thing as the lock method, which is liquid, oil, and cream. There's also the LCO method, liquid, cream, and oil. So depending on your hair, you'll figure out which order to use each product. So let's say you use a liquid leave-in conditioner or just some water, and then you use like a cream-based leave-in conditioner. There are some really good natural ones, or you can make it yourself. And then you add some oil. Again, it could be coconut oil, olive oil, jojoba oil, whatever, argan oil, whatever oil you have. But oil your hair so that your hair constantly has this slip. And it's not just matting up and tangling on each other because it's being oiled. You don't want to oil your scalp necessarily because you could clog your pores. You want to oil the length of the hair strands. Yes, some oil is still going to get on your scalp, but again, focus more on the strands of your hair than your scalp, because you don't want to clog the pores in your scalp. And give yourself a good scalp massage, right? That's going to stimulate the blood, get it circulating and going so that your hair can grow. You can also do inversions. Inversions is basically when you tip your head down so that the blood rushes to your head. Again, this is going to stimulate the scalp, which is going to stimulate growth, because the growth comes from the scalp. A lot of people think that their hair is not growing, but if you have new growth, that means your hair is growing. You just want to keep the hair that has grown. So if you're natural, you don't necessarily have to keep your ends clipped unless you're a natural who straightens their hair. If you're a straight hair natural, then yes, you want to keep your ends clipped because you want it to look good. But if you're a natural, a curly natural, you don't necessarily have to clip your ends what do they say, like every 6 to 8 weeks. You don't necessarily have to do that. I had a Dominican hairdresser tell me years ago not to put color or relaxer in my hair. She said my hair can't take chemicals. So you have to figure out what your hair can and cannot do. And if it doesn't want to do something, then don't do it, right? If your hair can't take color, get you a wig or a piece of weave and, clip it or braid it or whatever into your own hair so you can get that pop of color. And wefted hair and wigs come in our texture, 4A, 4B, 4C, 3A, 3B, 3C. Even some of us have straight hair. So whatever you need, just get what you need. And again, if it doesn't come colored already, in that particular instance, like, it's okay for you to use a box color because it's not your real hair, and you'll still get that same effect. I don't recommend using box dye. Although back in the day I used to use box dye, I just don't recommend it. But again, for me, even in going to a stylist to have my color professionally done, my hair would still break off because of course I didn't listen to the Dominican hairdresser I had, and I still went and put relaxer and color in my hair. But again, oiling your hair, allow it to grow. Taking good vitamins, eating good food, that will also make your hair to grow. It will help you look younger. It will help you look brighter. It will help you lose weight. It will help you. And I don't like to use the word diet. I always say I'm eating healthy, or I eat healthy. There's something in the mind that it's like once we say we're on a diet, we typically quit. By saying you eat healthy, if majority of your meals are healthy and then you decide, oh, I'm gonna have this piece of cake, you don't beat yourself up about it. You enjoy the cake, and then the next meal, make it some fruit or a salad, or just drink some water, right? You don't beat yourself up about it. And also learn to push away from the table once you're full. You don't have to finish all your food. You're not gonna get in trouble, I promise. Especially if you're at a restaurant, just ask for a takeout container. If you're at home, just put your plate of food in a container. If you want to come back to it later, that's fine. But in that one setting, learn to push away from the table if you want to lose weight. If you don't, then by all means, continue to do what you've been doing. Carry on, right? This is about getting the health in order. There is a vegan. Her name is Chef Babette, Babettete. She has a YouTube channel, some great vegan meals on there. I do have cooking videos on my YouTube channel if you would like to watch me make some things that I've prepared over the years. You're more than welcome to go to Conversations with Nikki Brown. Go to my playlist and you'll be able to find different types of videos. You should be able to find something that interests you. My mind bounces a lot. I had a cup once and it's basically said, Aquarius is always thinking about like the future, and that's why we're forgetful. I don't remember the exact wording, but yes, we're always thinking about something, and we have different interests. And I would say that Geminis and Libras are similar in that regard. I said in that regard. I didn't say in every way, so please. But we're similar in that thought process, where we have different interests, and it can change. But we don't, our change is not from a jealous perspective or like a comparison perspective. It's like, oh, that's interesting. I would like to do that as well. I was told that I have ADD. I don't necessarily believe in that diagnosis, so I didn't really accept it. For me, again, I just know that I have different interests, and those interests can change. And when they do, like, when I study something, I may just, get really deep into it and, study it for, it could be hours, it could be days, it could be weeks. But when it comes to natural products, I started making natural products Well, I first started selling shea butter in 2009, and I started making natural products in 2014. I started formulating different products, and so body care, hair care, beard care, clean shaven face care. I've made products for all those different things, even the hair, and people love the products. I have really good reviews on Etsy. It's not easy to keep up a business when you're doing it all by yourself and have no help. Like, sometimes there comes a point where you're like, okay, do I buy more bottles and not know whether or not I'm going to make these sales, or do I just go ahead and buy myself some food? You may, and it may not be that extreme. That is just one example. But, a lot of entrepreneurs, unless they start out with a certain amount of capital, they can hit some snags. So it's just a matter of making sure you have an understanding of your who, what, when, where, how, and why. Like, who are you marketing to? What are you marketing? When are you going to start marketing? Where are you going to market it? And why are you, So those 4 W's and an H. Who, what, when, where, how, why. 5 W's and an H. You want to answer those questions, and you want to make sure, so it's a delicate balance. You want to make sure that you're charging what you're worth, and so you'll kind of be in between sometimes, because you'll have people who'll say, oh, $10, it should be cheaper than that, right? $12, oh, that's not high enough, that's not exclusive enough. I feel that anybody can have access to it. And then there may be that sweet spot of, say, $15 or $16, where people feel that it's exclusive enough that not too many people will buy it. But then you'll have people that say, oh, I'm just not going to buy it because, of the cost. So that person, though, is not your customer, so you can't necessarily focus on that customer. You have to focus on the customer that is going to pay you what you are worth, right? And that customer may not look like you. But again, that's where the marketing comes from. Who is your target audience? Are you marketing to, say, women between the ages of 25 and 45, 25 and 55, 18 to 35? What is your target audience? And I think that's one of the things that I've learned in the years that I had a business. So I was just excited to share this product that I made. Because again, I started out by selling just raw shea butter. And it was just in like a little plastic container, or plastic food container, and I was selling it for $5. Then I realized that the products that I was using, I didn't really like how they turned out in my hair, or I may not necessarily like the smell. And so I started formulating my own products so that they smell the way I want them to smell. And they had products that I felt worked in my hair. So it was kind of trial and error. I had to try it, just try, like, I became a product junkie. So I tried a lot of different products. Like, okay, does my hair like this? Does my hair like that? And, using some of the things. Okay, what's going to give me slip? Okay, I have the flax. I have the marshmallow root. I have, this, that, and the other. So just kind of experimenting to see what worked and what didn't work. And again, that comes with trial and error. But I came up with some good formulas. And again, I have a lot of good reviews on Etsy. So a lot of people wanted to buy the products that I had to offer. Then you have someone who may order something, I make it, and then I don't hear from them. And sometimes it's intentional, and sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes people have other priorities, and it's like, oh, I wasn't able to do that, and because natural products aren't necessarily inexpensive. They're for who they're meant to, be for. And so you have those people who, they just buy the Blue Magic and the Suave and the VO5, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then you have some that maybe, they buy something that's a little higher price point. And then you have some that, they just want a good product. And so they are willing to pay a little more. And so again, it's finding that sweet spot, because I feel like I was doing my best to have that middle ground where I wasn't charging too much, but I wasn't charging enough. And so again, there's that space of people that feel like if you don't charge enough, it's not worth it. They want you to charge more. Not necessarily just so that they have to pay more, but again, when you charge what you're worth, what your product is worth, people feel like they're getting their money's worth, if that makes sense. Again, this is business stuff. I've made juices. I've cleaned houses. I've cleaned beach houses. I've made the natural products. I've made jewelry. Did I say I made drinks? I've made sea moss. I've created classes to teach people how to make products, how to make soap. I've made soap. I've made laundry detergent. I've made so many different things and turned them into a business. If you're a first generation entrepreneur, again, there are going to be challenges, but it doesn't mean that, I don't like to use the word fail, because a lot of entrepreneurs talk about how many times their business did not succeed and they just kept going. That is all that you need to just keep going. Just learn from, what did not work. And sometimes what did not work is, not pouring more money into advertising. Sometimes you have to create a product and do pre-sales. And then once you get your money for your pre-sales, then you produce the product. A lot of people do that. But you actually want to make sure, because this is your name, so this is your word. You want to actually make sure that you're producing this product. You don't want to be one of those people that scams. There's so many people that have great businesses and they can make great money off of it, but for whatever reason they decide to scam instead. I've never understood that, because they could benefit way more by doing the right thing. But I realize that some people just don't want to do the right thing, and once they get that money in their hand, it's like burning a hole in their hand, and they feel like they have to, jump out the window and do something like, buy a Porsche. I don't know. I'm just using that as an example. But you want to actually make sure that you're producing this product. Then you'll have, like I had someone, I said, okay, I'm going to give you a coupon, hoping that person would come back, and that person never came back to me. And maybe I should have sent her the coupon, but I had so many experiences with people who, they would buy something one time, they would try to copy it, and steal the recipe, or and so, they, and if somebody does that, that's fine. A duplicate is never as good as the copy. So they may have a product, they may have some stuff that they put together, but they don't know your technique, they don't know your recipe. Even if they have some of the ingredients that are on in their recipe, they're not going to do it like you do it. But again, some people are fine with that, and that's fine. There are millions, billions of people in the world. You can have 1 million customers, and if they decide to do something else with it, they, a lot of times, again, people jump into these things not understanding what it's actually like or actually about, and then they realize that it's not as easy as it looks on TV or looks on social media. I had one young lady who she sent me a message, and she said, oh, you make doing videos look easy, but it's not easy. I never said it was. But people just see, oh, if she can do that, I can do that too. And they just, again, jump out the window thinking that it's something that it's not, because most people compare themselves, or most people are in secret competition. Again, that's something else that I don't understand. Why aren't you mowing your own lawn? Why are you over here in my grass? I'm not thinking about you and your grass. Even if your grass looks good, I don't care. And not even from a mean perspective, I just don't understand why people put so much energy being concerned about other people, when you should be doing what you need to do for yourself, right? If you're good at baking cookies, bake cookies and make your money off of baking cookies. I'll never forget, and I know that Paula Deen had her controversy. I don't know why I can't speak this evening. But she started out with her and her 2 sons making sandwiches and taking them to people's jobs. So she basically made them sandwiches and delivered them to these workplaces. So if you have a workplace where you can set up and sell your cookies, your slices of cake, your juices, your sea moss, your, I don't know, cake, cookies, potato chips, food, do that. Make dinners, schedule the dinners to be made once a week. Go to multiple employers, recruit your nieces and nephews or cousins or mom, your dad, get some people to help you if you can. And, be the best version of yourself. But if you're not a scientist, why are you trying to create formulas, and then you realize you don't know what you're doing, and then you just give up and you just go back to buying stuff that other people make just because you saw someone else doing it? And again, not that you can't do that, but it's the mindset behind it. Why did you decide to do that? Because, oh, they did it, so I can do it too. If that is your mindset, no. The mindset should always be about the self and improving the self. We spend too much time being concerned about other people, what other people think, what other people might say, what someone else would do. I I often remember, and when I first heard it, it was so weird to me. But I had to realize that people see me differently than I see myself. I'm just doing me, is what I always say, right? But this young lady said, oh, I went to the thrift store and I thought to myself, what would Nikki Brown wear? What would Nikki Brown do? That was so weird to me. And again, I was in my like late 20s, early 30s. And so I didn't understand that. Then another time, some years later, I had another young lady. She would walk in. We were in training. She would walk into the training classroom. She would go put her stuff down in the back of the classroom, and I always sat in the front. She would come back to the front to look me up and down. And I didn't get that she was admiring me or, And then she would say, oh, where you get your clothes from? I shop at different places. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. Like, it was giving weird to me. Like, because you're not... And I guess I'm just a different type of person. I typically say what I mean and mean what I say. So when someone's trying to hint around, I'm not the person that can take a hint. Like, I'm the more direct and blunt type of person, right? And so it took me some time to realize, and it wasn't until after the fact, that, oh, that was her way of admiring me. Not to just be like a nosy little busybody and see where I shop so she can go and buy what I have. It wasn't necessarily that. But I didn't like it. Like, it really made me feel uncomfortable. Like, why are you coming in here? And, at first it was cool, but then it started to be like, what are you doing? What is... Like, I come from communicators. Like, people speak their mind. They don't just, like, passive aggressively, like you're looking at, like, typically when someone looks you up and down, it's because they have a problem, not because they're admiring you and what you have on. So, people say all the time that I'm different. I don't feel different. I just feel like me. Right? And I'm thankful that I have the knowledge that I have so that I can share it with people. Because again, when I first started making products and I realized how good, I had an eczema scar on my leg, about this big. It was a bruise because I had kept scratching and scratching. And over the months of me making, fulfilling orders and mailing them off, I would wear gloves, but sometimes I would still get the butter on my hands. And so I would just rub it on the back of my leg because I didn't want it to go to waste. And after about 3 months, I realized the scar was gone. And I remember sharing that with my aunt, and she was like, oh, that probably didn't happen. It was probably just something that, like in your diet or some, like that. And so you're going to have, people who discourage you, along your journey because they don't want you. But then you'll see that same person try to copy what you created. Because, later on she asked me what my recipe was. Or like what butters I was using in my product. And I had already spoken to somebody because I was on my spiritual journey at that time. And the person said to me, if somebody wants to steal from you, let them.